I've only recently begun to be able to experience my time when I had just entered the military. So, in a psychological state, the 2019s, 2020s, and up. I think that's the hardest in PTSD because it feels like time is stuck. Uh, One of the best and worst parts about my particular incident is that when I was shot, I was fully aware, cohesive. It all made sense. That wasn't the thing that I needed to revisit. What had traumatized me was the events leading up to it. It was how many warning signs were there, how many so called friends and family that ignored what I was saying, that not only had they ignored it, but how I ignored it, how I was more enthralled with their words or put more value into their words than my own. And it was just so surreal revisiting it because I saw exactly how I ended up there on the floor, bleeding out, almost dead. Like, it doesn't boggle the mind. At first, you kind of revisit it because you think, wow, uh, PTSD is going to hit. It's going to keep me going back to that place. But I found that it was usually taking me further than I really expected to every action. I clung to other people's words because I didn't believe my own. I didn't believe my own because I didn't feel like I had words or lived experience. For a long time, I had felt as I was just sweeping by. I never wanted to be the most important person. I never wanted to be player one. I was content with being player two. But life just happened. And you're forced to control your own life. Some can see it as a displeasure, or some can see it as a pleasure. I don't think it either. I think it's a mandatory. I don't know what got me here. I don't know if I had chose this in another life and simply had forgotten it as I started this one. But I am the controller of my own soul. All of those, originally I was working on old software, the high school age. But as I grew and gotten past the trauma of that, so forward did I have to think, okay, if I have gotten past that trauma, that issue, that because I had to get rid of some of the body trauma that was lingering before the incident. And dealing away with that, then I could focus on the true pain that the incident had given me. It wasn't simply just being shot, though it was traumatic. It was everything else, the treatment, the fact that I didn't treat myself well, and everyone was okay with it, complicit. People stopped showing up for me, or never really showed up for me. Where I could say, oh, like they did something adequate, but it's just like I felt like every single time I had to push myself to be in people's eyes or face to be acknowledged. No one really actually knew or tried to get to know me. I think that it was just easy to write me off, to think that I had no thoughts. But I had always tried to be included. And when I was finally just a repeated new place over and over and over again, I just kind of stopped trying. I tried to find one particular friend, a partner, a person that I could share and adore and put all of those affections in, and it would be correct. But I think that that's what harmed me the most because, like, I don't think that I really wanted a girlfriend. Like, I wanted to love everyone. but I wasn't allowed to. Like, it seemed like anytime I would, show genuine affection or try to talk to people, sometimes it would go well. But other times, people would see that as weakness, as if I was dumb or dense. And sometimes I would ignore it. And that I guess it just added to their delusions that I was. And maybe not delusions, but it built up a pretty good case. I had experienced happiness as well as a bitter sadness. I had a delusional state of what I wanted. That's why for me, that time, at least those times, I was a little bit too old to still be in the imagination state, but still too young to really be quite out of it already. Too aware. I was growing up. I was an adult. Maybe not a full-fledged someone that you would, but a young adult still. Or maybe I was still young. Maybe that's just me acknowledging that I was. I didn't know. For too long, I was put into this realm and space where I had to either be a level of maturity, forced to be so mature that when I finally had a chance to shed off the guise of maturity, I got to be goofy and silly and young. And maybe that's why people liked it. I think they liked the aftermath. And I liked it too. I felt free then. But I think that's where I had spent most of my youth, the healing youth. For others that looked at their childhood when they were 10 or 12, the military provided me a place where I could experience my childhood. In the harshest place that I could think of, I was a child. That is why it's different for me now. I think that here, outside, it makes a lot of sense. I don't want to say like it doesn't make sense, the rules. No, just it makes me feel like I don't have any structure, any way to really climb up that isn't just automatically something that I'd have to pay for. Like if I'd done the task, I don't get the arbitrary awards. Like, hey, you did something, pat on the head, until you're the one doing the patting. At least that's what made sense. I was institutionalized. It made sense. Rules and structure, order. It's not that people want to go back into the military, I don't think. I think that people want to believe in something. They're willing to give up something to get something. A feeling like you're succeeding. I think so many people spend so much money to watch people drown, simply so those people can never surpass them. And it's those that stand right next to them as we're drowning that will sit there and complain about the inhumane treatment but won't do anything. I've seen it time and time again. When I look back at my time in the military, I remember some names and faces, some positions and scenarios, but unlike my high school age and time where I would have maladaptive daydreams, I never really tried to change it too much, improve it. I think the reason being, there's no point. I think that it didn't need to be changed. I was changing it in actual life, in actual time. I was getting there, and I didn't need to get shot for that. It just collapsed everything. It rushed the process, but I guess it hurt. It shattered my confidence, and by it had lowered it so much that I ended up slingshotting. like a kind of like a Super Saiyan, where on the brink of death, I came back stronger. But I came back way too strong, too knowledgeable, in a position in a time that I don't necessarily want to be in. It doesn't make you any more advanced. No one's going to really like look at this and say, "Wow, he was such ahead of his time." Like I know that I'm smart, but I know that I'm not smart enough to. I'm not smart enough. It is way too much time. Being intelligent does not equate to wisdom. I need experience in order to actually have some sort of lining to it. I don't have it. So there's nothing I can really do. Like I'd have to go through the master's program. I'd have to go through the steps of the educational forces and then be the, I won't say the most elite, just getting something that is difficult to attain to then say and speak down to it or to criticize it. But if I'm like, if I'm aware in this way that I think that I am correct, and then I do so, and it does hit what I believe it would be, it causes nothing but just pain and mental torture and ache. It's torturous being correct, but not being, you're not truly you're not cognitively aware on exactly why you're correct. You just know that you have the right answer. It's insufferable, because then you are afraid of growing too big of a hubris, or then now saying this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, and then one day whatever had caused you to have this quote unquote gift will go away. Your pattern recognition, or because of a dulling of your skills, or because you had gorged yourself, because you had removed yourself from an heightened sensitive condition. You removed what you had deemed a superpower, which was once a curse and then a blessing. Now it has traces of both, and you don't have it. You try to recreate it, but you don't want to. I don't want to. Like I longed for my pain, my gunshot pain, because I'm scared of what life is without it. I long for the military, even though I know absolutely if I go back in, I'll hate it. It's because like I'm trying to go out of my circles to search for something better, and I kind of have, but I'm like I can't get into it. And if I try by every and any means to get into it, I'll die. That is not something I say of pride. I say of this as, what does one do when you know what the answer is, and you know it is not for you to call towards it? If I do anything in this stage, I die. Maybe I stave off. Maybe I stave off the hunger or the stress or the pain, but like for a couple of days. But I need something at least a little bit more comfortable in my patience. I'm trying to be like, it's okay to be patient, but why do I have to sit on the rocky ground when I could just get a chair and wait? That's not what I think that's what confuses others. That be patient. Yes, you can be patient, but why be a terrible host when telling others to be patient? That's why I get angry about white supremacy and the white saviors. That, yes, I agree to be patient, but is there nothing that you can do to make this situation any more comfortable when being patient? Politicians speak of patience. White supremacists speak of patience. White saviors speak of patience. Black leaders speak of patience. And I'm not someone who hates patience. I say that, can I be patient and comfortable? But no. So I sit there in agonizing pain because agonizing pain does not start off in the most egregious levels. It's solely of your own action, sitting, slouching. But it's hard to sit up straight when you don't know how long you're going to sit there. It's an uncomfortable position. And then you start to even tell yourself, are you going to die in this room? It might as well die comfortable. But you start sitting and slouching and humping over and becoming disillusioned because you're bored. You're overworked. You're not able to really rest. You're on high alert, ready to go at a moment's notice, but also tired because you've been ready to go at a moment's notice, but the notice has never come. I think that's what, no, I know it's something that bugs me because I'm just waiting. I think about all the things in my life and realize how it led me up to this position, this point. And I say, what have I been missing? And I scan through it and I try to look at the details, the small details. And I just see very glaring spots. Was someone else supposed to do something? Was something else supposed to be done? Was it my own action or accord? Why was this praised at this moment, but then it's never really talked about again? If something is worthy of praise once, why isn't it worthy of praise at all times? Why do people always seem to forget what they once had praised and treasured? Are they ashamed of what they once were proud of? I think that's there's an ignorance in pride. But pride comes in two ways. That those that were once proud turn their back into what they once were proud of. If your pride had turned into a level of contempt, then why didn't you say so? So it would never be confusing. Why didn't your words ever come public? Why did you never denounce it? You just slowly let it fall out of your pockets, litter for someone else to pick up and clean. To say that you discarded it later, but no proof or evidence, no landfill. I guess the earth will be a landfill. And for those that stay so proud of it, even with the glaring issues, they sit there and they speak about pride and why it's so good, but can never really address anything with any new sentences, new structures, new thoughts, new rationale, something that wasn't already regurgitated to them, or something that already wasn't spoken about years ago from more antiquated men, better and more articulate. I'm getting I won't even say a knockoff. Worse than generic, it's rudimentary. It's simplistic. It's a brochure. It's a brochure of a brochure. It is a third party that is speaking on behalf of a scam. What are you proud of? I find that when people are proud of things, they can speak of it in greatness. When asked, there will be situations when they would bring it forth when they feel it's necessary, but they will hide it to protect it if they feel like it will tarnish its name. Being proud of something does not mean to include it in everything. The same way as I am proud of who I am and where I come from, but I don't need merchandise or gear to broaden its name. It doesn't make it more advanced. I wear a lot of military gear, not because I'm proud of the military, but because I'm scared of dying. I'm scared that one day they will see me as simply just a black man and they will see that, hey, if you have some military gear, maybe they will find some allegiance to that or feel that I am tolerable and maybe just let me off on that day so I can live to breathe another tale. I loan out the gear and give it to my family so maybe they could avoid a ticket or worse, a bullet to the back of the head. Even though I know that some will not care, but those people already wouldn't care. It's just me pleading out to those that still might have a little bit of balance, something that's not the pure goal of elimination, pleading to some sort of sympathetic mindset, a human. Well, everyone is human. There's no denying the fact that everyone in this case is human, that there are humans that are determined, that know what they are doing, are committed to what they believe in, and because of that commitment, even if they find contradictions, they are adamant to execute. They can't be reasoned with because they are in a position of power. They believe that they want to live for the last few seconds as powerful beings in whatever diluted form of power they want it to be. I can understand it. I understand it because I was in the hospital bed in my last moments, really, truly believing that I was going to be gone. And the last powerful thing that I could say was good morning, cracking jokes to anyone and everyone that could see me, trying to be nice and tell them good things. For I thought that I was the strongest when I was polite, that they could not deny my nature, who I was. They could not say that I was not a good man and tried my best to be a good man to my beliefs, that it made me the strongest person that I possibly could be in my last moments. You could have told me none of that really mattered, it wasn't useful, but it was, or it was my time to be the strongest that I could possibly be. That I see that those that have the power, that feel like they are compelled over someone, are not viewing it for the other person but for themselves. They believe themselves entitled. They need to do this. To compel to someone to see their ways when they are committed in such an act would be a waste of breath for both. In fact, it would probably invigorate those doing the wicked deeds because it recognizes them as powerful. I know it sucks to say, but some of the best things that you could do is a survive, but silence. I think that that's really what it is. It is a patience. See, when you get all the way to that form, to that point in time, what you're trying to do is you've already kind of set the sentence for them. They know what the outcome for what they've done. There's no way out. Even if you wanted to give them a way out, there is no way out. There is no negotiation because truly, the negotiation would be the worst thing for them, or worst thing that they could imagine. They say that this way that they maintain control, a delusion of control. That's what they want, to gain control that they never really had. They were delusional in thinking that they had control of others in the very beginning. And then once they had started it, they said, yes, I'm taking back the control that was rightfully mine. And once they end, they say that you're not going to take me You're not going to get me. You don't own me. I left by my own hands as a person that rage quits. They laugh and they smug because that's the only way that they would sleep at night, the only way that they could live. Because if they were allowed to live any longer, you would see the true pathetic nature of who they were. And they know this. They lied to themselves up until the very end. What do you do with a liar that has lied to themselves the entire time? They lie and lie and lie and lie and lie. So I don't question why they do this. It's never at least a head scratcher to me. To each individual is different and unique, but I think that the call for it is that it needs to be more of a preventatory action than a reactionary one. For it's you can watch a man burn out when they are banned for saying the words of hate that they had so clinged on to before, like playing Call of Duty, where the new auditory would ban them if they said or they got reported too often or too much. What it does is, yes, it seems at first it is some don't care and will say wicked things. Some will just use money to continue to do these terrible things. But those things aren't problems. Not in the sense of that they're initially bad. They're surface level issues. So it says to anyone, how do I create more issues? It says that we have to deal with a money issue. The people who have more money are more likely to do this. So maybe we should view individuals who have more money and see what punishments would adequately affect them. A banning of products, a banning of being able to buy the console in the first place, limiting what they can purchase and what they are allowed to have. Or an individual who can only buy and purchase one console once in every 10 years versus one that can buy 100 every 10 minutes. Or is more liable to speak and waste and discard, causing pollution, waste, and time and resources that and lives. It sounds like a bad business model, but always in the long stretch, it will be a better. For people can return back into the fauna, live and indulge again. The best way to beat a loser in that way is to be preventatory. To be aware before the game has even officially started, to be aware that the game has already begun. It's hard to say because people are always trying to make counter moves to a move already made, but in order to beat some games, you have to choose not to play them, at least not on those terms and those rules. With that being said, I'm done.